Hello friends. Today we bring you a true legend on wheels, the Mercedes-Benz CLK GTR. How did a car designed to dominate the GT1 racing series become a collector's jewel worth over $10 million? Did you know that back in 1998, it was the most expensive production car in the world? Stay tuned, because we're about to reveal all its secrets. From its origins on the track, to its monstrous V12 engine with over 600 horsepower, the extremely limited number of units built, and the fascinating curiosities that surround it. To understand the CLK GTR, we need to rewind to the mid-1990s. The FIA GT Championship was one of the most exciting battlegrounds in motorsport. On the grid were monsters like the Porsche 911 GT1 and the McLaren F1 GTR, machines built to push the limits of engineering. Mercedes couldn't stay on the sidelines. They wanted to win, and they wanted to win big. So AMG was tasked with building a car that could take down the giants. The result was the CLK GTR, a car that carried the name and a few visual elements of the regular Mercedes CLK. But in reality, it was a pure-blood racing prototype in disguise. In fact, it's often said that the only parts it shared with the street CLK were the headlights, taillights, and grille. Everything else was brand new, designed from the ground up for speed and domination. And here's the craziest part. Mercedes-AMG developed the very first prototype in just 128 days. Less than 5 months to go from drawings to a running car. That insane pace showed the determination Mercedes had to crush the competition. And crush it they did. The CLK GTR made its racing debut in 1997 and instantly became a fearsome presence. Wide, low, with a massive rear wing and the roar of a V12 that echoed across every circuit, it was the definition of intimidation on wheels. But here's where the legend grew even bigger. FIA rules required at least 25 street-legal versions to be built in order to race. And so, the road-going CLK GTR Strassen version was born. When Mercedes unveiled it in 1998, the world was stunned. The price was $1.5 million, instantly earning it a Guinness World Record as the most expensive production car ever built. To put that into perspective, a Ferrari F50 at the time cost around $500,000. The CLK GTR tripled that number. Today, more than 2 decades later, its value has skyrocketed. Some examples have crossed $10 million at auction. Others have sold for 4.5 or even 7 million, depending on whether they were coupes or roadsters and their condition. This isn't just a car, it's an investment. A rolling piece of motorsport history. In total, Mercedes built 20 coupes and 5 roadsters, though some sources suggest 26 units if you count prototypes and special versions. Each one was painstakingly assembled by hand at AMG, making every CLK GTR a true one-off masterpiece. Imagine owning one. You'd literally hold 4% of the world's entire production in your garage. That's why whenever one shows up at auction, it instantly becomes headline news. At its heart, the CLK GTR carried a naturally aspirated 6.9-liter V12 that produced 612 horsepower at 6,500 revolutions per minute. It could sprint from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 3.8 seconds and reach a top speed of 320 to 330 kilometers per h, or just over 200 miles per hour. In the late 1990s, those numbers were simply insane. But Mercedes wasn't finished. Later came the CLK GTR Super Sport, developed by HWA, with a 7.3-liter V12 pushing 664 horsepower, and some sources even claim up to 720. That very engine would later find its way into the legendary Pagani Zonda, proof of the engineering brilliance behind it. One of the most fascinating aspects of the CLK GTR is how it blended racing DNA with touches of luxury. On the outside, it was a full-blown race car, but inside, the 25 road versions came with leather seats, air conditioning, even a radio. Imagine blasting down the Autobahn in a GT1 race car while listening to music. It's almost surreal. And here's another twist. Mercedes actually raced the CLK GTR before the required road versions were even completed. In other words, it was homologated after competing, a bold move that allowed Mercedes to bend the rules and stay one step ahead of their rivals. The CLK GTR doesn't stand alone in history. Together with the McLaren F1 GTR and the Porsche 911 GT1, it forms what many call the holy trinity of GT1. Three machines that defined the golden era of endurance racing, a time when car makers pushed boundaries with outrageous designs and cutting-edge technology. Today, whenever a CLK GTR surfaces, the world pays attention. In 2013, a Roadster sold for over $8 million. In 2023, a coupe crossed the 10 million mark. And it's not just about the performance, it's about what the car represents, an era of motorsport that will never return. The Mercedes-Benz CLK GTR is more than a car. It's a piece of art, a symbol of engineering ambition, a unicorn on wheels. With just 25 units built, a record-shattering launch price, and a current value that multiplies that figure several times, the CLK GTR remains one of the most exclusive and admired supercars ever created. So I'll leave you with this question. Do you think the CLK GTR is the greatest GT1 car of all time? Or would you pick the McLaren F1 GTR or the Porsche 911 GT1 instead? Let us know in the comments. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories of legendary cars.